Adam Justice Latif to the stand to give some remarks about their father.
It's okay. It's okay. Adam will go first. Adam, go first.
Hi everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming to pay tribute to my father, Shahid Latif. I know that if you were here today, he would be so happy to see such a diverse group of friends and family in attendance for his funeral. As you know, I am his son, Adam Latif. At 19 years old, I did not anticipate the loss of my father. My dad was a special man with a character unlike anyone else. I was fortunate enough to have him as a mentor to guide me through many of my significant milestones and breakthroughs. I'm thankful to have been able to spend so much time with my father, from afternoons getting lunch to just driving around to help him finish any errands. It is these very moments that I cherish so much now, because subconsciously they allowed me to come to a few realizations. My father was ambitious and open-minded. Whether it was his style, encompassing his infamous bolo ties and bow ties, to his speeches on global education and peace, or even his charitable projects when involved with Rotary. He was a genuine man who was trusted and loved by so many people. Even today, I have never seen such an outpour of emotion for any individual ever before. This is just the man that my father was. I remember when I was little, I used to stay up at night in my parents' bed watching History Channel documentaries with my father, learning all about the Abrams and Panzer tanks in World War II to modern-day fighter jets. My father also loved science and would explain the beginnings of modern physics as branches of natural philosophy, going back to Galileo and Newton's theories. It was at this time that my father told me of the Baha'i principle, independent investigation of the truth. He introduced me to many new concepts and ideas that gave me a new appreciation and perspective of the world around me. Because of my father, I didn't take things for face value, but rather asked questions and conducted my own research to learn more about what interested me. He emphasized the importance of honesty and standing up for what I truly believed in. He so wholeheartedly believed in this idea that he even made my middle name Justice, so I could never forget this valuable lesson. Another memory. I remember a time when I had broken up with my first girlfriend. I had given her a shirt that I loved, and I wanted it back. I insisted that I get it back because I felt that she no longer had any reason to wear it. I remember my sister, Raisa, told my dad about the ordeal, and he had a chat with me. It was at this time that I learned my second lesson. Don't trade your precious gems for someone else's pebbles. After our conversation, I completely dropped the argument about the shirt and apologized for immature behavior. My dad helped me realize that it is not right to act dishonorably, regardless of how others may behave. I understood that fighting both tooth and nail over some small minutia, or irrelevant minutia, is wrong, and that oftentimes taking the diplomatic approach is the best approach. Yet another memory. So this lesson overlaps with the first two lessons, but I'll include it nonetheless. There are so many times where I screwed up because of my own stupidity. Last summer, my family went to Italy for my cousin Nicky and his wife Shabnam's wedding. Shortly after arriving at the airport, we had to take a bus to a nearby town. It was not even 30 minutes into the trip that I realized I had lost my wallet, which funnily enough was purchased months before in Italy by my girlfriend of the time. So I guess I returned it back to where it belonged. I remember my mom and sisters roasting my ass about it until my dad calmly explained that there was no use to yell. The wallet would still be lost. We actually tried to find it at the airport, but to no avail. The trip went smoothly otherwise, and I was given even fewer responsibilities after my sisters realized how inept I am when it comes to looking after my belongings. Anyway, I remember another time when my father was on a Rotary conference in Georgia. At the time, he had a watch he used to wear, but had broken the strap or bracelet after falling on a patch of ice the winter before. Being an amazing son I am, I offered to take it to the local watch store to get it repaired. Once the store fixed the watch, I called my dad to tell him, and he promptly told me I could wear it for the week. So after the first day of wearing the watch, I decided it was best that I put it back and not risk damaging it. How wrong I was. When I came home that evening, I didn't realize I had forgotten to place it inside of the box, and it dropped, breaking the crystal, the glass part of it. I remember calling my dad, regretting everything. He picked up, and I told him what happened. My dad's response was calm and forgiving. He understood it was an honest mistake. I still had regret, but was no longer afraid of the repercussions of my actions. The third lesson here is forgiveness. My father was able to empathize with and see my point of view, even when I was clearly in the wrong. He avoided making me feel worse, which allowed me to learn from my failures and my mistakes. It is so important to remember this, because we all make mistakes. If we don't forgive and strive to learn from our mistakes, we close off our minds from so many valuable opportunities to learn more about ourselves. Don't hold on to grudges or burnt bridges in your relationships, because you may come to regret those negative feelings, especially in the loss of someone who is especially close to you. Looking back, I could go on and on about so many more lessons my father was kind enough to present them to me. I'll end my speech here, as there's no quantity of examples or descriptions that could bring my father back. What I do want to emphasize, however, is that everyone should live their life to the fullest and cherish the experiences they have. Be content and happy. Don't let negativity drag you down. Focus on creating beautiful and wonderful ideas and concepts. Stay away from destructive habits and mindsets. And finally, just because you may have lived longer doesn't mean you cannot remain youthful in spirit. My father embodied these principles, and I know he lived a very fulfilling and happy life. I appreciate all of you for supporting him, and I pray that all of you live happily.